Welcome to the Mount Clemens City Commission meeting. It's Monday, February 1st. It's 7 p.m. and we'll call the meeting to order. Everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Campbell. Commissioner Campbell.
You're on mute, Ron.
Campbell.
Oh, I'm here.
All right. Fournier.
Here.
Goodnow.
Here.
Hammond.
Here.
Prop.
Here.
Menser.
Here.
Voorhees.
Here.
Thank you. We'll proceed to agenda item number 4, announcements, acknowledgements, communications, and reports. Item A is a presentation of proclamation in honor of Harold Henry. Whereas the people of Mount Clemens, through their duly elected officials, have a long history of recognizing those individuals in their midst who give themselves for the human and public good. And whereas Mr. Harold Henry was born here in Mount Clemens and moved to Detroit a few short years later, where he met his wife, Irene. Harold and Irene moved back to Mount Clemens and made it their home for the last 56 years. They were happily married for 57 years with a daughter, son-in-law, and 2 granddaughters. And whereas Mr. Henry had an extensive public service career in and around the city of Mount Clemens, as a former Mount Clemens City Commissioner, served the city on the Affirmative Action Advisory Committee and the Amusement Device Licensing Board in the 1980s. Worked with both the federal and Macomb County Circuit Courts as a court reporter for over 30 years, was an active member of the Mount Clemens Library Board, and was vice president of the NAACP Macomb County branch. And whereas Harold Henry was the first African-American court reporter in Macomb County. As a court reporter, he opened and taught at the Macomb Academy of Court Reporting, located on Church Street, for 6 years with his partner. Harold and his wife Irene were the first African-American funeral service providers in Mount Clemens, and Macomb County owning the United Memorial Funeral Home here in Mount Clemens for 37 years. And whereas in his free time, he loved to golf and run marathons, he looked forward to the Detroit Free Press Marathon each year. Henry, also an active member of North Broadway Church of Christ. Whereas the city of Mount Clemens would like to take a moment and express our appreciation for Harold Henry for the number of years he has served Mount Clemens area and its residents, and those he served should be reminded that he represented his community and district with the utmost respect and made sure that their best interests were made known. Now, therefore, I, Laura Kropp, Mayor of the City of Mount Clemens, on behalf and the City Commission and all our citizens, present this proclamation to Mr. Harold Henry's family, his wife, daughter, son-in-law, 2 great-granddaughters, and extend our heartfelt sorrow for the loss of Harold Henry as a husband, father, grandfather, and longstanding member of our community. Dated January 27th, 2021. Laura Kropp, Mayor of Mount Clemens. Is there anyone who would like to make any other statements about Mr. Henry?
Yes, I would like to. Very well done, Mayor Kropp. Thank you very much for issuing that proclamation. I just would like to offer my sincere condolences to the Henry family. Mr. Henry was an exceptional and an honorable man, and he definitely made a difference in our community. I just wanted to reach out to the family and just provide my condolences. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to make any comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 4B, revenue and expenditure report. Mr. Johnson.
This is just the same report that you received at the last meeting, but in its detailed version. Later on in the meeting, at some point, I'm going to want the commission to give me some direction as to which version you'd like to see in the future.
Excellent, thank you. Item 4C, presentation on social districts. Ms. Bell.
All right, gonna work to share my screen real quick. This is the most often asked question throughout Zoom, so I apologize, but when I press this, I want to make sure everyone can see my screen. So can you see the presentation I have up?
We may need you to maybe turn up your volume or speak a little bit louder. I'm having a hard time. Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Mayor. All right, so for those of you that I haven't had a chance to meet, which is unfortunately a lot because of the pandemic, my name is Kate Bell. I am a Community Development Fellow through the Community Economic Development Association of Michigan, and I have the privilege of working with the City of Mount Clemens, particularly with the Community Development Department, on some community and economic development initiatives. When I initially was applying for the job, I didn't expect it to be so COVID and pandemic heavy, but here we are. The thing that I'd like to talk with you all today is something I've been working with Brian Tigley on, and this is the concept of social districts. Now, I know a lot of you have probably heard or seen news reports of some of these in other cities and towns across the state, but just a brief overview. This was something that was enabled by legislation at the state level in summer of 2020, just this past summer, essentially enabling businesses to serve drinks that can be consumed outside and in a public space. Now, the two key terms I want everyone to keep in mind as I go through this presentation is first, what a social district itself is. It's essentially this area that's bounded by a perimeter that a city or town makes up, and restaurants and bars that are permitted within that boundary can sell these drinks, these alcoholic beverages. And secondary to that is what's known as a commons area, and that's a designated area within a social district where people can go to actually consume the beverages. The commons area is basically just to make sure that people aren't walking into the roadways and consuming there. This is a safe place nearby to businesses where people can consume. So with that in mind, this is a very brief presentation. I want to be cognizant of the commissioners and public time here, but just wanted to run through some of the requirements that the state has in place for cities to designate and operate a social district. This is something that every city and town across the state has to do. There needs to be a resolution adopted by the city in question, essentially just designating what the social district is and where it is. Part of the application process includes having a detailed map and info for all licensees that are or could be participating. This would show the district boundaries, where the commons area could be, and also showing and pinpointing all restaurants and bars that would be eligible to participate. Then there would also be a management plan submitted to the state, and this would include the hours and dates of operation, any sort of maintenance, waste management, safety and enforcement measures that the city's taking on. Now, every social district also has to have clear signage. All customers must know when they're entering and exiting a social district. Branding for the actual cups themselves with the alcoholic beverages. They have to be marked both with, it can either be a stamp or sticker, something like that, showing that it's from this particular social district, and which restaurant or bar made the beverage. And all containers have to be regulated. The two requirements that the state has in place is that containers cannot hold more than 16 fluid ounces, and they cannot be made of glass. And something that I think is important to keep in mind is while the state has these requirements across the board, the way that individual cities and towns can further basically go about how they go about making the signage and the branding, that's up to the cities and towns themselves to do. So while these are some requirements, the way that individual cities and towns handle it can be tailored to fit their specific needs. So for example, there's no hard and fast rule for the hours of operation. That can be up to every individual community. There's a lot of leeway that goes into the creation of this that has been helpful. Cities and towns across the state of varying sizes have implemented this with some success. So quick facts and do's and don'ts for what's expected for customers and restaurants and bars that participate. Only one drink can be held by a customer at a time. And obviously these customers have to be allowed legally to consume alcohol. So this is no flouting of other state and local regulations of who's eligible to consume. A customer who's in the district has to dispose of the container either before leaving the district or purchasing another drink. You can't bring drinks from one restaurant or bar to another, and you cannot bring drinks from home. When I was doing my research on this after giving a similar presentation, they made sure to put this in because I guess there's been some question onto if you can bring something from your own place. No, all the drinks have to be purchased within the district itself. And finally, common sense, but just wanted to make it known, obviously no drinking in roadways. It's really just within pedestrian locations within the social district. Now, restaurants and bars that are participating have to receive 2 approvals. The first is from the city itself, and the second is from the state. So there's a 2-step verification process for restaurants and bars that choose to participate. So the city could potentially have a list of eligible and participating bars and restaurants, as with the state. So there's 2 levels of accountability there. Obviously, all restaurants and bars must still abide by all other existing state and local laws and licensing agreements. This in no way changes that. Restaurants and bars cannot set up shop within the commons area to sell. The only drinks that can be sold are on their licensed premises that they already have. They can't put up pop-up shops elsewhere to sell alcohol. And finally, participating restaurants and bars cannot allow alcohol from another establishment to be drunk on their premises. Again, something to keep in mind, the cities who have social districts are fully in control. And if any restaurant or bar that participates violates any of these terms, conditions, or requirements, the city can rescind approval. Again, that goes back to that 2-step verification process we have for approval. The city is in full control of part of that, which is something important to keep in mind. This is a very simplified timeline of what would need to happen should the city choose to pursue a social district. There would obviously be the planning stage where the commission and other stakeholders, the community would come together, map out an area that they would like to see both for the district itself and the commons area, and come to some sort of agreement on what to expect for waste management, enforcement, how the city would go about branding the cups, etc. The next official step would be adopting a resolution designating the district itself. Once all those materials are in place and the resolution is adopted, the city would then send all of that information in a package to the state, and the MLCC would approve or come back with suggestions for approval. And then the city would be able to grant permits and approval for licensees who wish to participate. They would also have to go through the state and MLCC process as well. And after that, able to roll it out. I know that the city is currently undergoing a rebranding process. That would be something to keep in mind as the social district potentially is rolled out as well, to wrap it all into one. But it's a fairly self-explanatory, simple process. The state's done a good job to make it streamlined and easy to do. Some quick considerations I want to just leave off with, again, being conscious of time here. As of today, I updated these numbers just for this presentation. 26 individual municipalities across the state have adopted social districts and have them currently in place. And these are in cities of all sizes. So we have places like Petoskey and places like Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo. There have been no enforcement issues to date. I've done some scouring and I haven't seen any major news reports of any issues happening in any of these places. Again, cities have the authority to revoke approval for any bars that are going against the rules and regulations. And this is something that should the city choose to adopt it, it would not be in place forever. The enabling legislation at the state level has a sunset clause for 2024. So this was initially supposed to be a stopgap measure for pandemic response in order to support small businesses while we're unable to gather closely in small spaces. And so there's that just to keep in mind as well. If the city were to adopt it, it would be in place for roughly 3.5 years. There are a couple of benefits to this and goals that would be met. Obviously, short term, we're looking at pandemic safety and aiding small businesses who aren't able to have people in and out as often as they would. And then more long term, for just downtown revitalization anyway, having something new, getting people walking around downtown Mount Clemens, and exploring something that's been met with pretty raging success in other cities. So again, don't want to take up too much time. I have my contact information here. I have a longer presentation I'm willing to share if people want that via email. Pretty easy to find. You can either ask Mayor Crop, Dawn, or Brian Tingley how to get a hold of me. But just want to leave you all here. And if there were any questions, I don't know if this is the time, or you can email me, set up a phone call. I'll be happy to do that. But thank you all for giving me the opportunity just to share this little tidbit about this now. Thanks.
Thank you, Kate. I'll just add that the Downtown Development Authority was given the presentation, a little bit longer of a version of a presentation by Ms. Bell at our last board meeting. And I would say all of the businesses, especially the bars and restaurant owners that were present that day, were very intrigued by the presentation and were very interested. And so they did kind of send us away, Brian and I specifically, you know, that they hope the city commission this is something that we would consider kind of doing. So we'll kind of leave you with that. And Don, what kind of time frame were you going to come back to the commission with? Because I know you said you didn't want any action to be taken today. You're muted, Don. Don, you're still muted.
Sorry, I muted myself at one point and forgot.
Okay.
I did not ask for any particular action tonight, but I would like to get a feel of the commission as to whether this is something you'd like us to invest more time in and actually bring something back for approval.
I have a question, if we can ask it right now.
Sure, go ahead. Go ahead, Commissioner Fournier.
So Kate, a social district, could we, would it be like the downtown district of Mount Clemens, for example? Is that, and that someone could walk around with their beer or their drink and just mingle out in this city? Is that how this works?
That's correct. It would be up to the city itself for what those boundaries would be. When I gave the presentation to the DDA, the idea was potentially that downtown area, but the boundaries can be as large or as small as warranted. Obviously, there would need to be some care taken into making sure there aren't a lot of cross streets, crossing a lot of traffic or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, the city is in complete control of what shape it would take. And yes, it would be, people would be holding their beverages out. But again, just want to highlight, all of the containers would be tightly regulated. The city can say specifically which containers are used. Obviously no glass, nothing that it would come in, like you can't just sell a bottle of beer to someone to walk on the street, for example. And everything would have to be properly marked. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of leeway that the city itself has in order to make it as expansive or contracted into a smaller area just to get people outside. That's entirely up to the commission.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, I for one would be interested in what the city, in seeing this idea expanded and what we could do.
I agree with Commissioner Fournier about social district. I did a little research with the Grand Rapids and the Kalamazoo social district, and my understanding is we will be able to set the day and the time that the social district operates. Is that correct? And something that the city would be able to have control of. So yes, I'm in favor of something like this.
Yeah, just real quick to that, if I can, this can obviously, I mean, it can be seasonal. It can only take place on the weekends. Again, the dates and hours of operation entirely up to the city to be able to enforce.
I'm happy to try to get some more information from our downtown businesses. We have a meeting on Wednesday, you know, as to what they would like to see in terms of dates and times, you know, like days of the week and times, if they were interested in you know, Monday through Sunday kind of thing, or were they interested in just weekends, that kind of thing, just for feedback.
I would, Mayor,
Yes,
I would also suggest you get some feedback as to who is going to be providing insurance and some of those issues I think you have to take a look at.
sure. Yep. Is there any other commissioner who would like to weigh in on this? We've heard from two.
Yes, I would. I think that it could be a very interesting idea. I would like to see, you know, those tables and chairs brought out. If we're going to have a social district, you know, area within the DDA downtown, it might be nice to have those tables and chairs out so that people aren't just standing around with drinks in their hands, so that people could sit and gather.
What we discussed at the DDA meeting, Commissioner Menzer, was that the Cherry Street Mall might be a great opportunity to do something like that. But also, you know, around some of the other common areas. So, yep, definitely. Commissioner Campbell, Commissioner Goodenough, would you like to weigh in?
This is Ron here. I mean, if the businesses and the establishments in town are interested in it, I'm all for it too.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Voorhees?
Yes, I too am in favor of it, but I believe that we need to set the parameters, and I think that you're going to need to have the discussion with the downtown business people as to, you know, whether it's just the weekend or, you know, 4 days, or is it all week long? So I'm in favor of it. I think, you know, they've suffered through this pandemic. They need to get back on their feet, and if this helps them, I'm all for it.
Thank you. Mr. Goodenough?
Yes, I'm in agreement with it. I'd like to see how it's going to unfold. The process should be interesting, so I'm for it. I'd be willing to look into it as well. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, Mr. Johnson, I think that kind of gives you a good indicator at this point.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Great. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on to adoption of the agenda, item number 5.
Mayor Krapp, I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Moved by Commissioner Voorhees,
Support.
supported by Commissioner Campbell. Roll call, please.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier. Fournier? Commissioner Fournier?
Yes, sorry.
Good now.
Yes.
Hammond?
Yes.
Krapp?
Yes.
Menser?
Yes.
Voorhees?
Yes.
Item number 6, public participation. This is the portion of the meeting where we invite the public to participate. All that we ask is that you give us your full name, your residential address, and you abide by our 3-minute rule. We'll ask if you, at this point, give us your first name so that we can put you in line, and then I'll call on each person individually. Is there anyone who would like to participate at this point?
Louise.
Okay.
Louise.
Okay. Louise.
Amanda.
Amanda. Anyone else? Okay, Louise, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Louise Cole at 1019 Harrington Street, Mount Clemens, Michigan. I was listening to the common space. They have that in a lot of larger cities that have entertainment. Memphis has that downtown and in other places. But we've been through this pandemic, and I'm wondering what the cost of this branding is going to be to the individual business owner. So, you know, that was just a point that I wanted to bring up that I didn't hear anybody else say anything about. It's okay, but some of these guys are, you know, walking on a tightrope for money. So is the city going to help with this branding business or what? And that's all I had just a question.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, Amanda.
Okay, thank you for having me. I hope that
Amanda,
this is
can you give us your full name and your residential address, please?
sure. My name is Amanda Amakuchi, and I actually work for Turning Point in downtown Mount Clemens. I am not sure if this is the correct meeting. This is where I was told to go, so this is my first one. But I am here to talk about the Community Development Block Grant.
I think we have you scheduled for 9A for the first public hearing for the CDBG money. So we can have you speak during that public hearing. Okay. Great. Is there anyone else at this time who would like to speak to for public participation? Hearing none. We will move on to administrative responses to issues and questions raised during the previous meetings. Do we have any, Mr. Johnson?
We had no public at the previous meetings and no questions raised.
Okay, great. Moving on to number 8, approval of minutes. I'll entertain a motion.
A motion to approve the regular city commission meeting minutes for January 19th, 2021.
Moved by Commissioner Hammond.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Fournier. Anybody have any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Fournier,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item 9A, the first public hearing for community development block grant funding for fiscal year 2021. I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Mayor Crop, I move to open the public hearing for the allocation of the Community Development Block Grant funding for the fiscal year 2021.
Moved by Commissioner Voorhees.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Fournier. Do we have any questions about opening the public hearing?
I have a question about the CDBG money.
Okay, well, let's open the public hearing and then we can definitely hear that.
Okay.
Okay, so then we'll have roll call, please.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Okay, so we will have Mr. Tingley, do you want to go ahead and give us the explanation of the CDBG process?
Thank you, Mayor. So this is our annual public hearing for our CDBG funding. This year, well, if you'll recall, last year was the first year the county moved to a competitive funding process for capital funds for CDBG. We were successful last year. We received approximately $150,000 for the Jones Street Utilities replacement project. So this year, we're not receiving any funds, capital funds, so we're only allocating funding to the nonprofit organizations. So we have the ability to fund up to $13,800. And as you'll see, I listed the nonprofit organizations that had requested money via the county. The county has an application process that the nonprofits must go through. So again, this public hearing is just to elicit input from residents and nonprofit organizations on how these funds should be spent. Again, realizing that we're not allocating funds this year for capital projects, just nonprofit.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Menser, you said you had a question?
Yeah, Mr. Tingley kind of addressed it, but I wondered, did we apply for capital funds or they weren't available for anyone this year?
We do have the ability to apply for them, but we did not. We are, organizations or communities that do receive them in previous years do not score as high. So we did not apply this year.
Yes. Mr. Tingley, I don't understand. Why wouldn't we have applied?
Well, it's often very difficult to find eligible projects. In fact, we did have funding in 2020 calendar year to use for improvements at the front entrance to community center. We weren't able to actually use those funds because we bid the project out several times, and the bid amounts were not favorable.
7:30.
They were coming in way over estimate, and the county would not accept them. So it's not always easy to to find these eligible projects and then bid them out successfully. And then, we are going to be very busy managing this upcoming project with Jones Street and the utilities, as well as the replacement with the DNR grant funds. So we did not think it was in the best interest to apply this year.
And we'll then now hear from Miss Amanda. Did you say Imucci?
Hi, it's Amanda Amakuchi.
Okay.
Okay, so good evening. My name is Amanda Amakuchi, and I'm a housing case manager at Turning Point. I'm here as a representative for our shelter program tonight to request $2,500 in community block grant money from Mount Clemens to assist in the provision of shelter services for survivors and their families of domestic and sexual violence. Turning Point has been a part of this community for over 40 years. We're a domestic and sexual violence support organization here inside Macomb County. Turning Point Shelter provides emergency shelter to Mount Clemens residents fleeing violence in their homes. In the fiscal year of 2020, Turning Point provided 271 shelter bed nights to 6 Mount Clemens survivors, including 2 children. During those bed nights, it cost Turning Point approximately $8,130. And we provided shelter, basic needs. Some examples are clothing, diapers, formula, toiletries, meals, crisis intervention, case management, children's supportive services and advocacy, program advocacy, as well as support groups. In addition to shelter, Turning Point provided the following services to Mount Clemens residents. 41 individuals received help with PPO filing. 16 people received counseling and advocacy services. 5 people received legal advocacy assistance. 8 Mount Clemens survivors received forensic nurse exams following sexual assault from our first response team. 185 Mount Clemens callers received assistance through Turning Point's 24-hour hotline. Here, even during COVID, we are continuing to offer a comprehensive array of our services. All of our services are free for those in the community, and they include a 24/7, 365 hotline, emergency temporary shelter, home-based community and housing advocacy for residents leaving our shelter, individual and group counseling, assistance with filing personal protection orders, forensic nurse exams to survivors of sexual assault, legal advocacy and personal protection orders, prevention education, and Turning Point has a secondhand rose store to assist survivors with basic needs at free of cost. Instead of asking for funding support, I would rather be here to inform you that there's no longer violence within the homes of residents in Mount Clemens here in Macomb County. Unfortunately, Turning Point's 24-hour crisis line and the fact that our shelter is full most of the time demonstrates daily that family violence continues and contributes to homelessness, and that our services are greatly needed here. Turning Point's commitment to ending domestic and sexual violence cannot happen without the support of our community. Please help us to maintain crucial and viable services by supporting the continuation of grant funding support. If awarded the $2,500 requested of Mount Clemens, Turning Point will be able to provide approximately 85 nights of shelter of people who identify as Mount Clemens residents. Thank you for the opportunity to address this council and for your consideration in providing part of the solution for a community response to domestic and sexual violence. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I don't think so. So thank you, Amanda. We appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have a Scott Andrews who would like to participate.
Yep, I see his hand up. Yep, Mr. Andrews, go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Scott Andrews, and I work for Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers, one of the nonprofit groups before you on the CDBG block grant. I want to thank, first of all, to all the city commissioners that are in attendance. At these times, having public servants such as yourselves representing others is a wonderful thing. With the number of older adults in Macomb County rapidly increasing, the need for support services due to their frailties of age, chronic health problems, or disabilities is growing dramatically, and it obviously will be continuing to do so well into the future. The Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers Program, we've been providing chore and repair services on a smaller scale for many years. But in the last 5 years, we've been putting in requests for CDBG funding to hopefully increase the number of residents we can reach. We are confident that the addition of funding through the CDBG program will allow us to grow these services each and every year by reaching more and more of the struggling individuals, low income and poverty level, in need of the support we can offer. Such help can be very much the difference that allows an older or disabled neighbor to remain safe at home, which is the name of our program. I just wanted to say for, again, the city commissioners, we appreciate the partnership we've had with your city for the past 5 years, and hope that you will continue to look at our program favorably. There is a request before you, I guess to be voted on next meeting, for $888, and that would allow us to help at minimum 8 of the low or poverty level income residents with, we'll say, household repairs and household chores that they can't otherwise afford. So I'll take any questions, but thank you again for your time.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Andrews? Thank you, Mr. Andrews.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, I have Nikki P. who would like to participate.
Thank you, Patrick. Go ahead, Nikki.
Hi, thanks for having me again. I had the opportunity to speak to you guys this time last year on behalf of Care House. So thank you for having me again. My name is Nikki Pittman, and I am a forensic interviewer and a crisis counselor at Care House. So we are requesting CDBG funding, and I wanted to give you a little bit of information regarding Care House. Care House is the Macomb County Child Advocacy Center with our main office located in Mount Clemens and a satellite office located in Warren. Care House is the only agency in Macomb County providing a comprehensive intervention, advocacy, and treatment response for child victims of sexual abuse, physical abuse, or children who have witnessed a violent act, as well as their non-offending family members. Our goal is to minimize trauma for the child victims of abuse and to support the child victim and family through the investigation and prosecution phases and provide support to begin the healing process. Care House is one of over 800 accredited child advocacy centers of CACs, in the United States, who we collaborate with. All law enforcement jurisdictions in the county, as well as FBI, Homeland Security, and ICE, Children's Protective Services, the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office, as well as medical and mental health professionals. We know that talking about child sexual abuse is difficult. Unfortunately, that is a big part of the problem. We cannot wish away child abuse or pretend that it does not exist. The reality is that at least 1 in 10 children will become victims of sexual abuse before they turn 18. Almost 3 kids in every Michigan classroom, and over 20,000 of all children right here in Macomb County today are living with the trauma of sexual abuse. These numbers are surely much higher than our best estimates because most children never tell. Sadly, living with sexual abuse is reality for children of every race, gender, and economic status. These children could be your kids, your neighbors' kids, and your kids' friends. One may have even been you or me. Many of the parents who come to Care House with their children disclose that they were also abused as children and never received any help. Many of them never told. The abuse of their children often triggers their trauma all over again. Care House works with all non-offending family members. After the forensic interview, Care House also offers follow-up support services for child victims. We offer crisis counseling, child safety assessment, parent and child support groups, as well as trauma-focused therapy sessions, family advocacy, access to forensic medical examinations, a family pantry with cleaning supplies, holiday assistance for families in needs, referrals to other needed community services. As the designated counsel in Macomb County for the Michigan Children's Trust Fund, Care House also offers child abuse prevention information, education, and training for professionals and the community at large. Families are never charged for the services they receive at Care House. I am also proud to report that according to our most recent independent financial audit, over 88 cents of every dollar that comes to Care House is specifically devoted to serving children and families in our community. Since our opening in 1996, we have conducted over 8,500 child forensic interviews, with 280 of those children residing in Mount Clemens. In 2018, we provided 753 forensic interviews. 31 of those children resided in Mount Clemens. In 2019, we provided 757 forensic interviews. 24 of those kids lived in Mount Clemens. In 2020, we conducted 664 forensic interviews. 14 of those children reside in Mount Clemens. We received $1,542 in CDBG funding from Mount Clemens this past year, which is helping support and services for 3 families. 2020 has been difficult for Care House and the families we serve. Our services were determined to be essential by the state of Michigan, and our staff has continued to serve children and families even during the stay-at-home orders. Unfortunately, 2 of our annual fundraising events were canceled last year, so our resources have been stretched. Yet we have already seen a greater demand for support and services from families impacted by the pandemic, and we also have experienced an increase in unexpected expenses by the pandemic, and as we implement policies and practices to protect our staff and the families we serve. We depend on support from the community. We respectively request your consideration for funding this upcoming year in the amount of $7,200, which will support services for 12 child victims and their families that reside in the city of Mount Clemens. If you get a chance, please visit us online at www.mccarehouse.org and also follow us on Facebook. Thank you for your time today and consideration. I'll answer any questions that you guys may have.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Nikki? Thank you, Nikki. We appreciate your presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard during this public hearing? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Can I say something real quick? My name is Mike Karpinski. I own Pop Sweets and Treats. Miss Nikki, please reach out to me. I want to do a fundraiser for you.
Thank you so much. You said Pop Sweets and Treats?
Yes, please reach out to me. You touched me with that. I want to help you out.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thanks, Mike. I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mayor Krapp, I move that we close the public hearing for the allocation of community development block grant funding for the fiscal year 2021.
Moved by Commissioner Voorhees, supported by Commissioner Campbell. Any questions or comments about closing the public hearing? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Goodnow.
Yes.
Agenda item 9B, confirm appointment of city clerk. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'll entertain a motion first.
I move to confirm the city manager's appointment of Kathleen Martin as Mount Clemens City Clerk.
Moved by Commissioner Hammond, supported by Commissioner Fournier. Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
Our city clerk is retiring after 14 years of service, including about 3.5 years service as interim city manager. Her last day will be this Friday, February 5th, 2021. Pursuant to the Mount Clemens City Charter, the manager's appointment of Kathleen Martin to the position of city clerk is being presented to the City Commission for confirmation. Ms. Martin came to us with 17 years of previous municipal experience, including experience in the clerk's office and experience with elections. She spent the past 6 years serving the city of Mount Clemens as the deputy clerk. During this time, she completed 2 of the 3 steps for Michigan Municipal Clerk certification, but due to COVID-19, the process was delayed. She is expected to finish the 3rd and final step this March. She has extensive experience and knowledge in the role. She has handled some most recent election, which was a very difficult election, making her my choice and preferred candidate to be Mount Clemens City Clerk. The city clerk serves as custodian of the official documents and records of the city of Mount Clemens, coordinates and administers all aspects of elections within the city, serves as administrator of the Mount Clemens Employees Retirement System, and secretary to the Mount Clemens Civil Service Commission, and performs other duties as assigned. Her annual starting salary will be $70,000. She'll receive the same benefits that are provided to other department heads.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, we will go ahead and roll call, please.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Very good. All right, moving. Congratulations, Ms. Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Crop.
Agenda item 9C, confirm the appointment of Human Resources Director. I'll entertain a motion. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to confirm the city manager's appointment of Jennifer Gisotti to the position of Mount Clemens Human Resource Director.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Menser, supported by Commissioner Hammond. Mr. Johnson?
Thank you. Last week was a tough week for resignations. Human Resources Director Sarah Price is taking a deferred retirement. She has served the city of Mount Clemens for 22 years. In fact, this has really pretty much been the only place she has ever worked until now. Her last day worked will also be February 5th, this Friday. Again, pursuant to the charter, the manager's appointment of Jennifer Gisotti to the position of Human Resources Director is being presented for City Commission confirmation. Ms. Gisotti has 17 years of previous administrative and human resources experience. Upon her hire here as the confidential executive secretary in the city manager's office over 4 years ago, she immediately began assisting the Human Resources Department in various tasks and served as backup for the department, including payroll for active and retired employees, benefits, and various other tasks. She quickly gained knowledge of our policies and processes. Additionally, she is in the process of attaining certification through the Society for Human Resources Management. This process has also been delayed due to COVID-19, but she's expected to complete the process in September. Ms. Gisotti is the administration's preferred candidate for this important role as a result of her background, knowledge, skills, experience, and attitude. Her starting salary will be $65,000, and she will also receive a benefits package that's the same as the other city department heads.
Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop.
Yes. Agenda item 9D, approve the ice arena project bidding.
Thank you. As you all know, we sold bonds on Inauguration Day for the ice arena project. It's a $3 million project. We sold the bonds at 1.55%. And we'll be closing on those very soon. We're actually to the point now where we're ready to start doing work. And I wanted to bring to your attention that parts of this project do not lend themselves well to using a competitive bid process. This is because the ice making equipment and other parts of the ice arena are a system, and we're replacing parts of the system, but not all of it. When the arena was initially constructed in 1994, Simcoe, a Canadian company, was chosen for a custom compressor built specifically for our facility. Simcoe is the leading refrigeration company in the ice sports industry. They have also supplied ice making equipment for many National Hockey League arenas in the United States and Canada, including Little Caesars Arena, home of the Detroit Red Wings. We've been very well satisfied with Simcoe and their U.S. partner, Decal Service Group, which installs and services Simcoe equipment and supplies and installs and services other equipment. Simcoe has used Decal on many arena projects, including Little Caesars. Decal has serviced our equipment for over 10 years. We believe it's in the best interest of the city to continue that relationship. We will run into a similar situation with the dehumidification system, which is Rowe Consulting, the fire alarm system, which is Interstate Security, and the rubber flooring, which is Floorcraft. We will be upgrading or partially replacing all three, but not totally replacing any of them. That makes it almost essential that we purchase from our current suppliers. Arena manager Nick Poliski notes that many pieces of the equipment in the arena building are specialized and unique, making it very difficult or impossible to use an open bidding process for this project. I believe no advantage to the city would result from competitive bidding for these parts of the arena project. In fact, I think it would be detrimental to the success of the project if we were to try to meld together equipment from various vendors. In the purchases and payment section of this agenda, you'll see orders for Simcoe, Decal Service, and Rowe Consulting in the following amounts. Simcoe for compressors of $684,500. Decal Service for boilers in the amount of $114,251. And Rowe Consulting for a dehumidifier wheel, $45,709.77. I believe this should represent total expenditures with Simcoe and Rowe, but there will be other work to be ordered from Decal. There are other parts of this project which can and will be handled through competitive bidding or cooperative purchasing. Cooperative purchasing is where another governmental entity took competitive bids and the bidder agreed to honor those bids for other governmental entities. We've provided a recommended motion. The language provided is specific to meet the requirements of the city charter.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move based on a written recommendation of the city manager. The city commission determines no advantage to the city would result from competitive bidding certain parts of the arena project, specifically compressors to be purchased from Simcoe, installation services and boilers to be purchased from Decal, humidification system improvements to be purchased from Rowe, fire alarm system improvements to be purchased from Interstate Security, and flooring improvements to be purchased from Floorcraft. Other parts of this project shall be purchased through our own competitive bidding process or through cooperative purchasing where another unit of government took competitive bids.
Moved by Commissioner Fournier.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Hammond. Is there any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Agenda item 9E, adopt a resolution for blanket permit for Macomb County Department of Roads. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to adopt the resolution. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Nope, you fine, go ahead.
I move to adopt the resolution for a blanket permit for general road maintenance within Macomb County right-of-way for the period beginning February 1, 2020 and ending February 1, 2026, and to authorize the city manager to sign the application.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Menser, supported by Commissioner Fournier. Do we have any questions? My question is are we retroactive 2020 or is that a typo?
I believe it's actually retroactive because this was delayed, but I'm gonna turn this over to Jeff because this is really his project.
It is retroactive. If you look at the permit, the previous permit expired in January of 2020, and somehow this was delayed. So it actually now is a 5-year term ending 2026.
Okay, great. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Agenda item 9F, approve purchases and payments of invoices.
Move to approve purchases and payment of invoices as presented.
Moved by Commissioner Campbell,
Support.
supported by Commissioner Fournier. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Fournier,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 10, consent agenda. It appears we don't have anything listed, so
Correct.
we'll move on to agenda item 11, city manager's report. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. Start off with COVID-19. The Department of Health and Human Services is permitting or has permitted restaurants to reopen indoor dining with restrictions on February 1st, which is today. Locally, I believe most of the restaurants we're planning to open today, except for Bath City and Mays, which have indicated they'll wait until February 5th. Macomb County Health Department is continuing to schedule COVID-19 vaccinations. There continues to be a lot more calls than they're able to handle, but I'm hearing more and more people that are getting through and are getting their vaccines. The number to call for an appointment is 586-463-8777. Ice Carving Show. DDA's 16th annual Mount Clemens Ice Carving Show is February 5th through 7th. This year's show is a tribute to first responders and frontline workers with a special Hallway of Heroes display at the fountain stage. Attendees are requested to wear a mask and maintain social distancing. Branding. The city received 24 proposals for branding services. These were evaluated by our branding committee, which selected 4 finalists who are being interviewed on February 3rd and 5th. We anticipate having a recommendation for the city commission to consider on February 15th, the next meeting. Arena bonds. The bond sale was on January 20th. We received 3 bids. The lowest had a true interest cost of 1.551401. which we think is phenomenal. It's better than we anticipated in any of the projections we gave to the commission on what our costs would be. So we're quite thrilled with that. We've already received a good faith deposit of $60,000, and the transaction is scheduled to close on February 9th. We did include a copy of the final official statement, which could be found by clicking here. Hard copies were requested for the commissioners, and I believe that's what Commissioner Voorhees delivered this afternoon.
That is correct.
Carnes Center. At their January 20th meeting, the school board discussed approaches to terminating their lease with the city for the Carnes property. Nothing was decided, and the superintendent was directed to have discussions with their legal counsel about whether they could simply vote to invoke the out clause in the agreement or whether they would need to negotiate an exit for the agreement. Regardless of the approach they take, expect to see the Carnes Center becoming a very important issue for the city very soon. Sidewalk program. Approximately 1,500 sidewalk letters were mailed to property owners in districts 4 and 5 this week, and apparently some to property owners in district 3 by accident. We included a cover letter, a frequently asked questions page, and a map of the city showing the sidewalk districts. This notes that a copy was included in the report section. It actually is in the version as is posted right now, but it was not there on Friday. It got posted this morning. So if you want to see what we sent to everybody, you can go there and see it. Sidewalk marking will start when weather permits. We did supply a summarized copy of the revenue and expenditure report with the last agenda. There was a request for a line item detailed version, so we included that this time. The summary report's 19 pages long. The detailed version is 51. We would appreciate an indication from the commissioners as to which version they would prefer that we start providing every month with department reports at the second meeting of each month. Neither version requires any more staff work than the other, so we're ambivalent as to which one we provided. It's not going to create any extra work for staff. Then we have the list of things that we have planned for future agendas. You'll see we've got a pretty full meeting for the 16th already.
Okay, so we need to give some guidance on the revenue and expenditure report. Do commissioners have any preference on the 19 page or the 51 page? You want the summary or the line item?
I prefer the line item budget.
Okay.
I will go with the line item budget since it is no more work. And but what I would like to see, I appreciate the line item budget. We can go through that line by line. But I would like to see is maybe a commentary by Mr. Johnson about items of note in the current month's budget to actual comparison. I think that would be helpful and explain what we should be looking at, why some things are very different from what was budgeted, and just hearing what the anomalies are. Thank you.
May I interject?
Sure.
I went through that line item, report, and I did find several items that I had questions about, and I just called Mr. Johnson this afternoon, and Mr. Johnson answered every one of my questions. So I again, I prefer the line item budget, and if you find things in there, you certainly, willing to answer or explain some of the items.
Does anyone else have any preferences or questions? I think if no one else has any feedback, I think that we'll go ahead and ask for the detailed version to continue, since commissioners have preference of that. Were there any other questions for the city manager for his report?
Yes, I have questions.
Okay, Commissioner Menzer, and then did I also hear Commissioner Hammond?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, but I've already spoken, so Hammond can go first.
Okay, great. Commissioner Hammond.
It's good to see that we have movement on the Carnes Center, and I'm looking forward to the issue coming before the city. That's all I have.
Commissioner Menzer. Commissioner Menzer, go ahead.
Okay. On the branding project, I'm wondering, are we, I understand there were some local companies that might have applied or submitted an RFP, and I'm wondering how the local preference policy that we enacted will come into play on that. So I'm just mentioning it. I want to also address the Carnes Center, the Jermaine Jackson Center. The school has had control of that building for quite a while now. I think that there will be some wear and tear in that building, definitely the parking lot. And I think that we need to keep in mind that they should mitigate, repair any damage that's, it is beyond reasonable for the length of time they've had it. And certainly we should have it inspected, especially by, the fire department prior to, taking that back over. Thank you. And I do have one question. Are we going to have a workshop for the CDBG funds so that we can indicate which charities and how much that we want to, allocate the 13,000 and some change to? Or do you want an email about that, or how do you want to handle that?
Mr. Johnson, historically, what we typically do is have a work session to decide the CDBG money before the regular meeting. Would you prefer that, or would you prefer an email?
Mr. Tingley, do you want to address what you had planned?
Sure. Well, just based on the allocation that we had and the requested amounts and the number of organizations, my plan was to present that we would fully fund, I believe, the 4 smallest requests, and then the remaining funds would go to Care House. I believe they requested 7,200. I think if we did that, they would get, I think, 6,500. So that was going to be my recommendation at the next meeting.
Does anyone have any need for a work session then, or does everybody feel comfortable with that? I mean, we can take.
I'm comfortable with Mr. Tingley's recommendations.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that recommendations because that's exactly what I came to, and it's 6522 for Care House.
I agree with that. I have no objection to that, but I would like to know why we couldn't come up with a capital project to apply for the funds.
Okay, we'll give them some time to address that as well. Does anyone have any further questions for Mr. Johnson's report?
Madam Mayor?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
It's Jeff.
Oh, hi, Jeff. Sorry, couldn't recognize your voice.
Okay.
Yes.
I just would like to add a special thank you to Lisa Borges and Sarah Price for their nearly 40 years of service combined, and congratulate them on their respective retirements. It has been an absolute pleasure to work with them, and their professionalism, experience, and knowledge will be missed. I wish them well in all of their future endeavors. Thank you for letting me add that.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Wood. I appreciate it. Anyone else? All right, we'll go ahead and move on to public participation. This is the portion of the meeting, the second opportunity for the public to address the commission. We ask that you give us your full name, your residential address, and that you abide by our 2-minute rule in this section. Is there anyone of the public who would like to get in line for public participation?
Yes, I would. It's Sarah.
Sarah, very good. Carl, do I see your hand up there?
Yes.
Okay, Carl. Okay, we'll go ahead and let Sarah. Go ahead, Sarah.
Sure. Thank you for this. I just wanted to take a minute or so and just say goodbye. As I leave the city, Mr. Johnson mentioned it's been 22 years, and aside from being a banquet waitress when I was 15, this is really the only other job that I've had. I started here as a co-op in high school and just never left. But since I've been working here, I've continuously moved up and filled in as needed, and ultimately served as the HR director for over the last 4 years. I've had the opportunity to meet hundreds of people and assist them throughout their employment with the city. And I want to give a special thank you to Lisa and Jeff for having the confidence in me to take this role, even when I didn't necessarily think I had the confidence myself, and then the commission at that time for supporting me and for approving that appointment. For the better part of my department head status, it was nice to be a part of a team under Lisa and Jeff where we all worked cooperatively. It's been a journey to say the least over the last 2 decades, but I am thankful for all the time that I've had here and for the people I've met along the way. In the last week, I've been especially touched. I've been contacted by a lot of retirees, sending me messages and well wishes. And even I've had some employees come visit as well. I also want to wish Lisa well in her next chapter of her career after 14 years of dedicated service to the city. She too had worked her way up and filled in when needed, including the nearly 4-year stint as the interim manager that was actually only supposed to last 6 months. I just want to end by saying congratulations to Jennifer and Kathy. I feel that the staff's in very good hands with you two as HR director and the new city clerk. And I just wish them much success as they take on their new roles. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. We really appreciate all you've done for the city in the last 22 years. Take care.
Thank you.
Carl.
Hello, Carl Hay, 21 2nd Street, Mount Clemens. I want to start by just making sure all of our citizens know that Sportport is running. We have sports equipment that you can lend at no cost. Give us a call at 586-738-0055. That being said, I would like to ask a question. Last week, trees were being done on my street, and I guess I'm not sure how it goes. I don't know if I'm supposed to request it or what. But they did the end of my street. They didn't do in front of my house. But I got these 2 little trees. They did 1 tree in front of my house, but it was this little tiny tree that's like 2 or 3 years old. And I got this big, huge tree. So do I need to request that? Are they supposed to look at it and do it themselves? That was my only real question. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl, you can call Department of Public Services and there's a forestry department and they will be happy to take your request.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to participate? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Campbell.
Yeah, I have 3 things. Some residents have asked who is responsible for vehicles that are parked on the street that have been sitting there with expired plates going back as far as 2019, and several vehicles that don't even have a plate at all. The other is who is responsible for people that are placing their garbage out on Friday and Saturday for pickup on Monday. The wind is blowing it around and it's just a mess. So they want to know who is going to be responsible for identifying these people that are putting their garbage out too early and creating a mess. And the last thing is, I would like to say that I'm sad that Sarah and Lisa are leaving, but I am happy that they're moving on to the next chapter of their life. I have had the pleasure of working with Lisa for the past 14 years, and I will miss her. And same thing for Sarah. For the last 14 years, she's helped me with W-2s and questions, and I will miss them both. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Hammond.
Thank you, Mayor Crop. I would also like to thank Lisa for her years of service here at the City of Mount Clemens. It's truly appreciated. And I also would like to congratulate Kathleen on her promotion to the city clerk. Along with Sarah, I'm going to thank you for your years of service as well. And congratulations to Jennifer on her promotion to the Human Resource Director, and looking forward to working with both of them. Also, piggyback off of City Manager Johnson, you can also register for the COVID-19 vaccine at Meyer on Grossbeck and Cass. You can do it online at the Meyer website. And also in honor of Black History Month, I just would like to give a fact about Black history. In regards to Dr. Carter Woodson, who was the African-American historian, author, journalist, and the founder of the Association for the Study of African-American Life and History. Dr. Carter Woodson is also known as the father of Black history. He is the second African-American to earn his PhD from Harvard. And after earning his degree, he dedicated his life to ensure that African-American history was taught in our schools and studied among scholars. He then created the Negro History Week back in 1926, which later turned into what we are celebrating today as Black History Month. That's my fact on Black History Month. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Fournier.
First, thank you, Rashida. I appreciate that. I did not know it went back to 1926. Wow. So first of all, thank you very, very much. And my congratulations to the family and condolences to the family of Harold Henry. I'm very sorry for your loss, and I thank him so much for his years of service. Thank you as well to Lisa and Sarah. I appreciate all the help you have given me over the years, and I wish you the best in your new endeavors. And I am very, very, very excited for Jennifer and for Kathy so that they can take on these positions and that we can recruit from within. That's a very, very special, that's great. I'm very, very excited about that. So thank you very much for that. And with that, thank you very much to all. Good night.
Thank you. Commissioner Menzer.
I congratulate Kathy Martin and Jennifer Gelotti for their promotions, and I am confident that they're going to do well in their jobs. But I can tell you that I am sad and distraught that we have lost two valuable department heads on the same day. And I think we need to look at if there's anything back, that we can do to prevent this from happening again. I would like to comment on Amanda Amakuchi. She provided some statistics on domestic violence that are happening in our city. And if you recall, we used to get sheriff department statistics. And those statistics told us repeatedly over and over and over again that the number one crime, the number one sheriff department interaction in our city is domestic violence. Husband on wife, wife on husband, parents on children. It is the number one police interaction in our city, and we really need to do something better than what we're doing right now. And Commissioner Hammond, you gave me a flashback of Commissioner Roger Button. Every February, Commissioner Button gave us Black history statistics and stories like you just did. Every February, it was something that we kind of look forward to. So thank you for taking over his shoes and giving us a history lesson today. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Goodenough.
Yes, so I don't know if you guys are aware or not, I am the president of the National Council of Negro Women for the Macomb chapter. Black History Month started today, so moving forward, every Saturday, we will have some type of virtual event. If anyone would like to attend, it is on my Facebook page to help people during this tumultuous time. The second event is an invite from the North Broadway Church of Christ. If anyone has not received that information, on November 18th, it is on my Facebook page as well. So all are welcome. I do believe that will be virtual. Some might be in-house, I don't know if anyone's going to attend that way, but just want to put that information out there. And I hope to see you guys on either one of those Zoom events. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you. Commissioner Voorhees.
Yes. The city of Mount Clemens was very, very blessed to have Lisa and Sarah on staff. And we're very blessed to have Kathy and Jennifer to be able to move up and take their spots. I think that it will almost be a seamless event. Harold Henry was a very, very special person for the city of Mount Clemens. We certainly thank his family for allowing him to be a city commissioner. I believe, if memory serves me right, he took over after Bobby Hill was elected to the county commission. He was a very quiet man, but a very effective man. And with that, once a Clemite, always a Clemite.
Thank you, Commissioner Voorhees. I too want to say thank you to Lisa and Sarah for all of the years of service that you went above and beyond for the city of Mount Clemens and its residences and its residents. We really appreciate all of your time that you gave to us. So, and and Jennifer and Kathy, we're excited for your new opportunities within the city, and proud that we could, promote within. I think that Commissioner Fournier said that very well. I also would like to remind everyone who would like to attend that on Friday at 4 o'clock at the fire station, we will be swearing in our new fire chief, as well as new captain and a new lieutenant, I believe. So that's going to be an exciting event in our city. I would also like to mention that how pleased I am that the branding proposal is moving along, and I really would like to just thank the 5 volunteers who are giving their time, voluntarily to weigh in on this branding proposal to make sure that it is an effective tool that the city will use and that it's successful. So thank you to those people. I had the opportunity today to be on a call with County Executive Mark Hackle and all of the mayors and township supervisors in regards to the vaccinations. And again, County Executive Hackle mentioned that they will receive only just over 7,200 vaccinations doses for this week. And so tomorrow morning at 8:30, those appointments will open up. He really wanted all of us to drive home the importance of, even though you qualify to receive a vaccination, maybe think long and hard about, is this the right time to get that vaccination? And by that, I mean, are you a healthy person? And could you allow someone who is not healthy right at this moment, or who is much older than you and more vulnerable, to receive that vaccination? And so kind of trying to self-prioritize, your loved ones who, for example, I qualify because we're part of municipality, but I am waiting because, you know, people like my grandmother who's 85 can't get an appointment. And so, you know, I hope that those of us who are healthy and who might be able to say, okay, I can wait a few weeks, even though I qualify, I'm not going to step in line in front of somebody who's much more vulnerable. So I just want to kind of keep that, I want to encourage everyone to keep that in mind. We have an exciting ice show planned for this weekend, and that comes perfectly in time with our restaurants opening. So please, I had lunch today at O'Halloran's and dinner today at the Rec Bowl. So if everyone can show some love and give some business to our local restaurants and bars, they are, you know, an important part of our local economic, our local economy. And so we hope that you'll make sure that you support them, but also come and see our wonderful ice show. We've had so many people who have reached out and sponsored who've never done that before, and we know that it's going to be bigger and better than years past. So please come and visit. We will have live ice carvings every day between, it varies, some days it's 12 to 5, some days it's 12 to 3. So check out our Downtown Mount Clemens Facebook page for the details. But you'll get to see all of the beautiful ice sculptures during the day, and then at night they'll all be lit up. So it'll be an exciting weekend in downtown Mount Clemens. And of course, we ask that people socially distance themselves from others and wear a mask, but I believe we can do the ice show safely. With that, I think that's all I have for tonight. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support. Moved by Commissioner Campbell, supported by Commissioner Hammond. Roll call, please.
Good now.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. I hope you all have a great night. Be safe.
Good night.
Good night.
Hey, everybody.
All right.